look up at the stars and down into the deep ocean. But the strangest place we know might be the one directly beneath our feet. We've drilled less than 1,000th of the way to the center, and what little we've found down there is stranger than we imagined. A cavern of crystals taller than trees, the deepest hole ever dug, abandoned, a dent in the Earth's own gravity, 2 continent-sized blobs no one can explain, and a core that started spinning backwards. This isn't science fiction, it's the planet we're standing on, and science still can't fully explain it. In this video, we're going on a journey straight down, through 5 real mysteries hidden inside the Earth, each deeper than the last, that researchers still can't fully explain. We'll start just a few hundred meters down, in a place so beautiful it barely seems real. In the year 2000, 2 miners were drilling through a hillside in northern Mexico when they broke into a hidden chamber. Inside was a forest of crystals, not small ones, beams of glassy selenite the size of tree trunks, some over 11 meters long and weighing 55 tons, the largest natural crystals ever found. They had grown incredibly slowly, over hundreds of thousands of years, in water heated by magma far below and saturated with minerals. As long as the cave stayed flooded and hot, the crystals kept growing. But the deeper mystery was hidden inside them. Trapped in tiny pockets of ancient water sealed within the crystals, researchers found living microbes, dormant for tens of thousands of years and unlike anything in our records. When revived, they woke up. We still don't fully understand how life survived sealed in stone for that long, or why the very largest crystals on Earth formed in this one spot. And we may never get to look again. The mine's pumps have been switched off, and the cave has flooded once more, hiding the crystals back in the dark. The next mystery goes far, far deeper. In a remote corner of northwestern Russia sits a rusted metal cap bolted to the ground. Beneath it is the deepest hole humanity has ever dug, the Kola Superdeep Borehole. Over 20 years, Soviet scientists drilled more than 12 kilometers straight down and still reached only a tiny fraction of the way through the crust. What they found rewrote the textbooks. 2-billion-year-old microscopic fossils, 4 miles down. Water flowing freely through solid rock where no water should be, and no sign of the boundary they expected to find. But the strangest part was the heat. At the bottom, temperatures hit 180 degrees Celsius, nearly double what they predicted. The rock itself turned soft and began to flow back into the hole as fast as they could drill. Eventually, they simply had to stop. The deepest we have ever reached is barely a scratch, and even that the Earth pushed back against. Everything below this, no one has ever touched. We can only listen. The next mystery we felt before we understood it. Gravity isn't the same everywhere on Earth. The planet isn't a perfect sphere, and in some places its pull is slightly stronger or weaker. But off the southern tip of India lies the most extreme example we know of, a place scientists call the Indian Ocean Geoid Low. Here, gravity is so weak that the sea itself sags. The ocean surface over this region sits more than 100 meters lower than it would elsewhere. A vast, invisible dent in the planet, over 1 million square miles across. It was discovered in 1948, and for decades no one could explain it. Something deep inside the Earth had to be missing mass. But what? In 2023, a team ran hundreds of simulations and proposed an answer. Plumes of hot, light material rising from deep in the mantle. The ghosts of an ancient ocean that vanished as continents drifted. It's the best idea we have, but it's still just a model, unconfirmed and debated. The dent is real. The reason is still an open question. The next mystery is bigger than anything you've imagined being inside the Earth. Nearly 3,000 kilometers beneath your feet, where the rocky mantle meets the molten core, something enormous is hiding. Two of them, actually. Continent-sized masses, one under Africa, one under the Pacific, each rising hundreds of kilometers high, far larger than any mountain range. We can't see them. We know they're there because earthquake waves slow down as they pass through. Scientists call them the blobs, and after decades of study, no one is sure what they are. Some think they're graveyards of ancient ocean floor, dragged down over billions of years. Others think they're primordial, leftovers from when the Earth first formed. And one striking idea, that they're the shattered remains of Theia, a Mars-sized planet that slammed into the young Earth and created the Moon. Pieces of another world, still buried inside our own. We don't know how old they are, how they got there, or even exactly what they're made of. Two of the largest structures on the planet, and they're a complete mystery. The final mystery lies at the very center. At the heart of the Earth, 5,000 kilometers down, spins a ball of solid iron and nickel, roughly the size of the Moon. This is the inner core. It floats in a sea of liquid metal, and for a long time we assumed it turned quietly along with the rest of the planet. Then scientists noticed something strange. By comparing earthquake waves that passed through the core over decades, and even signals from old nuclear tests, they found that the inner core rotates at its own pace, slightly out of step with the surface. And around 2008, that rotation appears to have slowed and then reversed, the core beginning to turn slightly backward relative to the world above it. In 2024, further studies confirmed the slowdown and suggested it follows a roughly 70-year cycle. What causes it, and what it means for the length of our days and the magnetic field that shields us, we still can't fully explain. The deepest place on Earth is also one of the least understood, a giant metal heart beating to a rhythm we're only beginning to hear. 5 mysteries, 1 descent. From a cavern of crystals, to a hole we had to abandon, to a dent in gravity, to blobs the size of continents, to a core that spins the wrong way. What they share is simple. We've mapped the surface of Mars in more detail than the ground beneath our own feet. The Earth is not a solved problem. It's a world we've barely begun to enter. The greatest unknown isn't always far away. Sometimes it's straight down. If you want to keep exploring the unknown, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.